Hi, this is TB Wright talking with James LaFond. And James, you've been described in a multitude of ways, good and bad, good or bad. Um, you've had different monikers, nicknames, you've had different, some nice, some not so nice. And then you've also been described in different ways depending on who's talking about you and your relationship to them, what interests you share. One thing that one of those is alien anthropologist. Where does that come from? What is that? What is that about? And yeah, just go ahead and take it.
Well, I was once coaching for a man named his last name was Dina Telly. I don't know if he's still alive. Two of his sons have passed away. His youngest son found out I was a writer and that I covered a lot of like crime and that I was also writing history. So his father, who was, this was a 60-year-old father and a 16-year-old son, so Lee Dinatelli was quite a character. His son started asking me lots of questions, and his son thought he was a gonzo, teenage, pot-smoking, counterculture guy. And by the time he was done, over 2 hours of asking me various questions, of which his father, who I coached for, assured him I had the answers to, the kid was a horrified Republican conservative that couldn't believe what a nihilistic alien mind he had run into. He accused me of just looking upon the human race zoologically, and I was like an alien anthropologist. So I did a series of articles that I titled Letters from an Extraterrestrial Anthropologist. I even made up a fictional backstory that I forget what my name was, Regal M116S. I was from the system of Regal, and I came from an M-class planet. And I finished 116th in my class of 116. So I was shipped off to the savage planet of the apes to document their misbehavior.
Is that, even though you were the dumbest on that planet, are you still perhaps one of the smarter ones here?
The point is, this was my punishment. I was marooned here, so I was kind of channeling my alienation creatively.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote about 20 articles where I answered questions from the point of view of this fictional other self. But the inspiration came from Vito Dinatelli, who would now be, if he's with the living, he would be in his mid to late 30s. He'd be about your age. He was 16 when I talked to him.
Wow.
And, so it was a fun run. I ended up publishing a book, which is the favorite book of the hobo history producer named Incognegro, who was, at that time, he was also a young fella that I coached, and he asked me a number of questions. And his favorite book is the book that is titled Take Me to Your Breeder, and the subtitle is what the column was on the website, Letters from an Extraterrestrial Anthropologist. So that book is out there. He likes it a lot. And I had some fun with it, but it was, maybe one day I'll write a fictional story from the point of view of that much put upon anthropologist, because he's technically a zoologist because he's not human.
Yeah.
But he spent a good deal of time trying to recover his navigational plates, which he left on a hillside in New England, and they were two golden plates. And he eventually tracked them down in Utah and confronted the governor, Brigham Young, about it. And he was hastily bundled off by some very brawny wives of the said governor, abused, put about, and sent to San Francisco, where he was shanghaied. So it was fun. I like the idea of an alien that's kind of a Gulliver.
Yeah.
And is, in my mind,
a Gulliver, right?
Person,
a Gulliver archetype, yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like you, a type of character like T.B. Wright, who is wonderfully naive in terms of the evil that men do upon each other.
Yeah,
So,
you saw that the other day, yeah, absolutely.
It comes up in every one of our interviews. Something that Mr. Gray would ask me, and I'd answer it kind of sideways and obliquely, and you'd hear him chuckle in his Flushing accent. You will say, please explain that, because you don't possess the rotten conspiratorial mind that I do.
Right. But yeah, absolutely. No, I take that as a compliment.
So I like that. I like that innocence, because I remember being that person when I first moved to Baltimore.
Yeah, and something changed. So, yeah, and you've actually described that the way your inner wiring is different from most others, where there is sort of a distance that you have with the rest of humanity, and do you think that sort of leads to this alien anthropologist persona, or that's like the inner core of it?
Well, yes.
Because it is an alien anthropologist. I mean, it might kind of be a clever way of describing you, but it's truthful.
Well, plus, on top of that, I spent 38 years in Baltimore, and had I not gotten involved in coaching combat arts, I would have, in 38 years, only acquired one friend. Okay, because
in 38 years
38 years of living and working in Baltimore, if you take away the people that I made friends with through the combat arts, I made one friend in 38 years.
One friend in 38 years, and you've also said this last year you've made more friends than in those 38 years combined.
Yes.
Easily.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, so Baltimore was a very alienating place for a person who read a book, who didn't do drugs, who wasn't involved in some type of domination of other people in the workplace or in the political or criminal landscape. It was a very alienating person. There's a lot of good people in Baltimore, mostly ladies that hide inside and knit.
Right. Oh yes, they're
in the working class population, which I came in at the bottom of the economy as a minimum wage high school dropout. So for a person of my ethnicity, also being a person of that low social stature, and not doing drugs.
right.
Okay, that meant full spectrum alienation, because the only people of my ethnicity that shared my social status were drug addicts.
Right.
Okay, and I wasn't one of those.
So yes, you were. That in some ways, that's how I felt as an enlisted military person. I just probably was ill fit to. I did a good job, but I couldn't get into the role, and in fact, I caused a lot of just by being me, caused a lot of resentment, and it just didn't work out. So I did my 5 and got out. So I understand that being put in an environment by which you're really not, you're the outsider,
Right. It gives you, it puts you outside of Heinlein's metaphoric fishbowl, and it gives you a perspective
Yes.
to at least down through time reach other people like you.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
with your writing. So
Yeah.
I count it as a blessing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That hurt.
You can learn a lot from it.
It hurt, but it was a blessing,
Yeah, absolutely. The only other time I've heard a quote unquote alien anthropologist is attributed to Werner Herzog, the filmmaker, who has a vast catalog where his works blur the lines between documentary and like a proper movie, with some sort of fictional narrative and whatnot. And he's actually, in many ways, he resembles you. So I don't know if you're familiar with Werner Herzog, but that's the only other time I've seen that come up. Anyways,
The Mr. Gray, the man that does In These Goings Down videos,
yes,
he is a huge Herzog fan, and he's made me sit through some Herzog films. And another one of my hosts, who is a fan of my reading, has also sat me down for some Herzog movies.
you like any of them?
No, I don't like that type of filmmaking. But they're not enjoyable. But I find myself thinking about those films years later. Something
Right.
will come up. So it's I'm guilty of having done some of that type of writing myself.
Yeah, see, whenever I come, so I've met folks that read Moby Dick, and I laugh. I spoke to a lady yesterday, in fact, and I said, "Do you like Moby Dick?" And she said, "No." And I'm like, "Well, do you?" She doesn't like it. I said, "Well, do you like it in spite of not liking it?" And she laughed because she knew exactly what I was trying to say, and she said, "No." She just does not like it. But I've met readers of Moby Dick who they might not like it, but it happens to be their favorite book, And I've experienced that with wine. I don't drink wine any longer, but anytime I'd have a glass of wine, even if it wasn't my thing, I appreciated it, So
Yeah. So yeah, that's. Herzog's not entertaining for me, but I do benefit from watching his tedious films.
yeah, absolutely. That's good stuff. Well, thank you, James.
Thank you.